Imagine holding a single cent in the palm of your hand. It weighs practically nothing. It feels cold, small, utterly insignificant. You could drop it on the sidewalk and 100 people would walk right past it. But what if I told you that overlooking that exact piece of metal could be the most expensive mistake of your entire life? What if that single penny, resting at the bottom of an old coffee can or hidden in a dusty coin roll from a bank, wasn't worth 1 cent, but was actually a geometric anomaly of pure zinc-coated copper worth $999,000? Stop scrolling for just a moment. Look at that number. $999,000. That is $1 short of being a millionaire, and it might be hiding in your pocket change right now. We are not talking about a coin from the 1700s. We are not talking about a piece of pirate treasure. We are talking about the 2009 Lincoln cent. You likely have one in your house. But there is a specific version, a professional phantom, that has turned the collecting world upside down. This is the story of the coin without a mark, the silent destroyer of financial worry, and the reason you need to drop everything and start looking. The year 2009 was a year of monumental shift. The economy was shattering, the housing market was in freefall, and the very foundations of American prosperity felt like they were crumbling into dust. But while the financial giants were faltering, the United States Mint was quietly orchestrating a revolution in your spare change. It was the bicentennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth, and to honor the great emancipator, the Mint decided to break a 100-year tradition. For the very first time in the history of the Lincoln cent, the iconic wheat ears were not coming back, but the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse was being retired forever. In its place, the Mint released 4 brand new reverse designs. These were the log cabin, depicting Lincoln's humble Kentucky birth, the rail splitter, showing a young Abe reading during his formative years in Indiana, the professional life design, capturing him standing before the Illinois state capitol, and finally, the unfinished dome of the Capitol in Washington, representing his presidency. 4 designs, 1 year, a radical departure. This alone made them special. But the true genius, the multi-million-dollar mistake, wasn't in the design. It was in the metal and the alphabet. To understand the fortune hiding in plain sight, you have to understand a fundamental shift in composition that happened back in 1982. Before 1982, pennies were solid bronze. Beautiful, heavy, with a distinct ring when dropped. But the price of copper skyrocketed. It was costing more than a cent to make a cent. So, the Mint switched to a zinc core coated with a thin, pure copper shell. That's what a modern penny is, a chocolate truffle of base metal. Now, the San Francisco Mint was tasked with creating the collector's version, the proof coins. These are the aristocrats of the coin world. They are struck multiple times on specially polished blanks, creating a mirror-like field that reflects light with an almost liquid intensity. These proof coins, by law, must bear the mint mark of their origin. A tiny S for San Francisco. But in the chaos of the financial crisis, deep within the pressure chambers and the deafening roar of the coin presses in Philadelphia, a physics-defying anomaly occurred. This is where the story takes a dark, mysterious turn. The Philadelphia Mint was pumping out the professional life design by the billions for circulation. These Philadelphia coins famously carry no mint mark. They are the silent soldiers of commerce. But somehow, somewhere, a few highly polished, mirror-backed proof planchets, blanks destined for San Francisco, got mixed up. Or perhaps, a die intended for San Francisco was mistakenly installed in a Philadelphia press. The exact mechanism is a closely guarded piece of mint mythology. But the result is the Holy Grail. It's a coin that screams proof quality with its flawless, deep cameo contrast and glass-like surfaces, yet it bears absolutely no mint mark where the S should be. It is a ghost. A professional phantom. A 2009 professional life Lincoln cent struck with the DNA of a billionaire but the birthmark of a commoner. And here is the joke that the universe is playing on logic: a standard circulated 2009 professional life cent, if you find one in the cup holder of your car, is worth face value 1 cent. But this ghost? The market value is currently sitting at $999,000. That's the difference between buying a piece of gum and paying off your entire mortgage. It's almost laughable. You might be mentally screaming at the screen right now, alright, get to the point. How do I know if I have the $1 million coin? This is where the road splits, and honestly, it's where most people fail because they don't look closely enough. We aren't just treasure hunting for a date. We are hunting for a vibration. You need to stand up. Yes, right now. Go get the strongest magnifying glass you own, or the macro lens on your phone. Because we're zooming in on Lincoln's statue. On the reverse of the professional life design, Lincoln stands in front of the Capitol building. Look at the very base of the statue, the plinth Lincoln stands upon. On the normal coin, this base is solid, or maybe has a faint, ghost-like line. That's common. That's trash. That's worthless. The $999,000 version reveals a detail so precise, so surgically executed, that it looks like a microscopic map. There is a distinct, deeply etched, horizontal split line running across the base of the statue. It's known as the split base double die. It's not a scratch. It's a doubling of the die itself during the strike, creating a trench-like separation. It creates a 3D illusion that the statue base is splitting in two. If your coin has the mirror finish field, literally a surface so shiny you can see your own face staring back at you in perfect reflection, and the base is splitting, your heart should start beating like a drum. But wait. Do you see the letters? Look at the P and the R in professional. On the reverse, these letters on the $1 million ghost coin suffer from severe die deterioration doubling. They don't just look doubled, they look like they are vibrating, melting into the chrome-like surface. That's because the dies were hammering so hard, so perfectly, that the metal flow shattered the boundaries of the lettering. If you take a regular, dull, copper-plated zinc penny from 2009 and hold it next to this, there is no confusion. The common coin is a muddy painting. The phantom coin is a razor-sharp photograph rendered in liquid mercury. Now, let's stir some excitement into this room. You might be thinking, I'll never find a proof error. I'm not that lucky. Stop. I'm going to interrupt that pattern of thinking right now. Who told you that lie? Who said fortune only knocks on mahogany doors? The beauty of the Lincoln cent is that it is the great equalizer. This isn't a 1933 double eagle locked in a vault. This coin was, by its very nature of being an error, released accidentally into the wild, or slipped into a proof set sold directly to an unsuspecting public. During the 2009 recession, people were desperate. They were cracking open proof sets to raid the silver coins, dumping the common pennies into drawers. I want you to feel the urgency of this moment. The collecting market is undergoing a historic transfer of wealth right now. The old guard is liquidating, and specimens are being certified by Professional Coin Grading Service and Numismatic Guarantee Company. The moment one of these crosses the block and a new record is set, the moment it ticks over that $999,000 valuation to a confirmed $1.2 million sale price, the secret is out. You lose the advantage of the quiet hunt. Right now, you are armed with knowledge that 99% of the population ignores. They walk past the penny on the ground because they are too proud to bend over. They are millionaires, standing on a sidewalk of gold, thinking it's asphalt. So, let's bridge the gap between the microscopic split base and the bank account. If you have inspected your coin and you genuinely believe you are holding a mirror like, no mint mark, deep cameo contrast 2009 professional life cent with that violent split base, what do? Do not clean it. I will repeat that with the gravity of a heart surgeon. If you take a polishing cloth to that coin, you are not cleaning it, you are sanding off $100,000 with every wipe. The friction of a soft cloth creates micro scratches, hairlines, that a professional grader will see instantly. They will mark it as cleaned, and your $999,000 coin becomes a novelty worth melt value. The fear of loss through a simple, well-intentioned wipe should paralyze you into stillness. Instead, handle the coin only by its edge, as if you are holding a rare vinyl record. Immediately, you need to look for a transition. You need to move from hopeful amateur to verified fortune holder. The authentication process is not a suggestion, it is the only bridge between a dream and a wire transfer. You are going to submit this coin to PCGS or NGC. Yes, there is a fee. Yes, there is a waiting period. But you are holding an asset that could buy a house in cash, eliminate your debt, and change your blood pressure for the better. The encapsulation in a sonically sealed, clear plastic holder isn't just protection, it's a passport. A coin in a PCGS holder graded PR68 or higher with the No S designation is a liquid asset that can be sold within 24 hours for a fortune. Let's pause for a moment of reflection, because the emotional weight of letting this slip away is too heavy to ignore. I want you to imagine it's 5 years from now. You're sitting in your living room, scrolling through a news article. The headline reads, Mystery 2009 Lincoln Cent without mint mark shatters records, sells for $1.5 million. A chill runs down your spine because you remember this video. You remember the split base. You remember the mirror shine. And then, with a sickening drop in your stomach, you remember the roll of 2009 pennies you had last week. The roll you used to buy a soda. The roll you didn't check. That fear of missing out isn't just a psychological quirk, it's a premonition. The wealthiest people in the numismatic community aren't the ones who aggressively buy the most expensive coins, they are the ones who pay attention when the universe whispers. And right now, the 2009 professional life No S cent isn't whispering. It's screaming. But let's not end on fear. Let's end on the horizon. Imagine the slab comes back. The grade is pristine. The zeros on the valuation are confirmed. What does that wealth actually look like? It looks like breathing. It means waking up on a Tuesday without the weight of a 30-year mortgage crushing your chest. It means seeing your child's college tuition not as a looming monster, but as a check you can confidently write. The $999,000 Lincoln Cent is not just a disc of metal, it is a pause button on the relentless grind of the American wage. It buys you the most precious luxury known to man, time. Time to start that business you've been sketching on napkins. Time to travel. Time to sit on a porch and realize that you won the lottery not by matching numbers, but by matching details. The wealthy lifestyle isn't about the gold watches, it's about the peace that comes from security. And that security is forged in zinc, copper, and a mistake. As we approach the final strike, let's connect the dots seamlessly from the history to the hunt. We talked about the bicentennial, the 4 designs, the Philadelphia no mint mark tradition, and the San Francisco mirror-proof mistake. You now know to look for the surreal, liquid-like shine that looks like a black and white mirror. You know to hunt for the split base doubling on the statue pedestal that looks like a surgical incision. You know that the letters in professional should appear to be shaken by a tiny earthquake. And you know that your cell phone flashlight is all you need to start the validation. The algorithmic truth of this coin is simple, there are fewer of these in existence than there are Bitcoin billionaires. The rarity is not manufactured hype. It is a certified, verified, and mathematically painful reality for the collector who needs one to complete their set. So, the next 15 seconds are critical. The algorithm might take this video away soon, burying it under cat videos and political noise, but the information is now in your hippocampus. Don't let it decay. Pause this video. Yes, physically pause it. Walk to the drawer, the jar, the nightstand, the car ashtray. Gather every 2009 penny you can find. Do not filter them with your naked eye yet. Bring them back to the light. Start the inspection. Hold them under the lamp. Look for that shimmering proof surface. Look for the missing S. Look for the split base. That shift from passive watcher to active hunter, right here at the climax of our journey, is the catalyst. That movement is the difference between the life you have and the life you desire. The mint mark is missing, but the fortune is not. It is waiting to be found by hands sharp enough to recognize that in a world of 4 billion pennies, one can still be the king. Go find your king. The $999,000 is waiting. On a day that felt like any other Tuesday in America, a single cent was minted in Denver that would, years later, send a physical jolt of electricity through the body of the person who found it. We're not talking about pocket change. We're not talking about a few $100 to treat the family to a steak dinner. We're talking about a copper-plated zinc disc, hiding in plain sight, that currently commands a staggering market value of $981,000. Stop whatever you're doing. If you have a jar of pennies sitting in a closet, or a forgotten coffee can in the garage, you are about to enter a state of high alert. Because somewhere in the dark, among the dust bunnies and the faded receipts, a Lincoln cent stamped with the year 2006 and a tiny little D above the date might just be the key that unlocks a generational fortune. I want you to picture the moment of discovery. It's a visceral thing. Your fingers are cold from digging through a bankroll. You've looked at hundreds of identical brown discs, your eyes are blurring, and then, a jolt. A stop. A sudden, visceral silence where your heart seems to beat in your throat. This isn't just a hobby, this is a treasure hunt where the treasure map was printed by the US Mint and accidentally slipped into your grocery change. We are talking about the 2060 Lincoln cent, a coin that represents such a catastrophic, beautiful mistake by the machinery in Denver that it has transcended the very definition of currency. It's no longer money. It's an artifact. And right now, the market is screaming for it, priced just under $1 million. But here's the terrifying question that should keep you up tonight: do you know why it's worth a mansion, and do you know how to spot it before you accidentally spend it on a pack of gum? Most people don't. And that ignorance is exactly why you might be rich without knowing it. Let's pull back the curtain on the mystery. To understand the insanity of a $981,000 penny, you have to understand the alchemy of a mistake. In 2006, the Denver Mint wasn't supposed to be creating legends, they were supposed to be stamping out billions of identical, mundane coins. The machinery operates under pressure so immense that the dies, the hardened steel hammers that smash the image of Lincoln onto the blank planchet, eventually crack and shatter. This is normal. But sometimes, and this is where the spine-tingling rarity begins, a press operator, in the frenzy of a multi-billion coin production run, misses the micro-fractures. They don't see the die deteriorating. The press keeps slamming down, hundreds of times a minute, with a broken tool. The result isn't just a scratch. The result is a coin where the metal of the planchet squirts up into the cracks of the die, creating a raised, jagged ridge of metal on the surface. We call it a cud or a major die break, and honestly, it looks like the coin survived a volcanic eruption. When you hold a Lincoln cent with a massive cut error, you aren't holding a disc, you're holding a snapshot of industrial chaos. And for the 2006 Denver issue, a specific, massive, obliterating die break has turned a 1-cent piece into the equivalent of a Beverly Hills zip code. But you might be sitting there, skeptical. You're looking at the screen, maybe raising an eyebrow, thinking, I've seen error coins before. I've seen a misaligned strike. Why is this nearly $1 million? Ah, that's the sharp, logical mind we need. Let me hit you with the cold reality that separates the millionaires from the hopeful dreamers. It's not just about having an error. It's about having a catastrophic, undeniable, blazingly obvious error that turns the coin into a true freak of nature. We aren't looking for a tiny, microscopic doubling that requires a jeweler's loupe and a bottle of aspirin to identify. No, no. The 2006 D cent that rewrites your financial destiny is a coin that screams at you from across the room. The die break is so profound, so massive, that large portions of the lettering or the rim are destroyed. The metal flows like a frozen wave. When you see it, the reaction isn't confusion, it's a physical flinch. It's fear and excitement wrestling in your gut. It's the unmistakable feeling of finding a lottery ticket you never knew you bought. Think about the housing market for a moment. imagine a single coin swapping hands for the exact same price as a luxurious, four-bedroom modern farmhouse on a sprawling estate. One piece of pocket change. One house. The math is absurd, but it's true. Now, let's pivot from the surface of the coin to the surface of your future. If you find this coin, what does a $981,000 liquidity event actually feel like? It's the end of the alarm clock tyranny. For the 30 to 65-year-old American, this isn't just a collector's win, this is a rescue rope thrown into a sea of debt. It's the immediate, cold hard cash annihilation of a 30-year mortgage. It's the sound of a car loan balance hitting zero. It's the ability to look at a medical bill and laugh, actually laugh, because the penny in your safe deposit box just built a zero-risk emergency fund. We're talking about walking into your bank, not to deposit a paycheck that's already spent, but to move an insurance policy's worth of hard assets into your wealth portfolio. The wealthy don't just work for money, their money works for them. This Lincoln Cent is a high-performance employee. It's a compact, portable asset that has outperformed the S&P 500, real estate, and gold by a cosmic margin. While your neighbors are sweating bullets over a quarter-point interest rate hike, you're holding a commodity that defies gravity because it's based on the one thing they can't print more of, historical manufacturing catastrophe. But here is where we need to inject a hit of sobering adrenaline. The market for these coins is a ruthless gladiator pit. And the villains in your story aren't cartoon characters, they're smooth-talking, fast-talking, low-balling predators. Picture this terrifying scenario: you find the coin. Your hands are shaking. You take it to a local coin shop, or you post a blurry photo on a social media group. Within seconds, your inbox floods. "I'll give you 50,000 cash today." Your heart might flutter. 50,000. That's a car. Stop. Freeze. They are weaponizing your excitement against you. They are counting on your ignorance. They know that a coin worth $981,000 can be stolen from you for the price of an SUV. The difference between a life-changing fortune and a quick, forgettable payday is the black ink on a professional coin grading service slab. If the coin isn't slabbed, authenticated, and given a numeric grade by an institution like PCGS, you are leaving six figures on the table. You cannot sell a raw coin for generational wealth. You just can't. The market requires the objective, forensic blessing of the grading overlords. Without it, you're not a wealthy seller, you're prey. Now, I need you to lean in close for the next 30 seconds, because I'm going to bridge the gap between historical engineering and your immediate, actionable checklist. This is the kinetic energy of the story. We talked about the broken die, but what if the error is even more sinister, more subtle, and even more valuable? The 2006 D has a shadowy cousin. The unthinkable scenario of a wrong planchet strike. Imagine the Denver Mint Hopper, loaded not with the standard zinc core planchet, but with a solid bronze planchet meant for a different era, or a dime planchet that drifted into the wrong bin. When that foreign metal meets the intense striking pressure, the resulting coin is a chimera. It's lighter, heavier, or a strange color. Why does this matter to your bank account? Because while a massive cut die break is loud, a transitional wrong planchet error is a silent, insidious whisper that only the trained ear can hear. The market value on a certified 2006 D struck on a solid bronze planchet isn't just high, it's an auction house shaking, record-smashing event that makes the front page of numismatic publications. We are talking about figures that soar past the $981,000 benchmark into the stratosphere of private jets and coastal retreats. The question is, and be honest here, does your penny weigh 2.5 grams, or does the scale read 3.11 grams? The difference in that 0.61 grams is the difference between clipping coupons and clipping stock dividends. Let's talk about the physical posture you need to adopt right now. I'm ordering you to go on a scavenger hunt, but not the kind you had as a kid. This is surgical. Step 1, don't clean the coin. If you've ever seen a shiny, polished old penny selling for top dollar, you haven't. Cleaning a coin is the single most efficient way to vaporize value. It destroys the skin of the metal, the original mint luster that graders call the cartwheel effect. A cleaned coin is a crime scene. If you find a candidate, do not rub it with a cloth. Do not dip it in acid. Do not even breathe on it heavily. Place it gently on a soft cloth. Step 2, magnify to terrify. Use a high-quality 10x loupe. You are hunting for the void. Is there a blob of metal disfiguring the liberty? Is the date swallowed by a tsunami of copper? Is the edge split and jagged? If you are squinting and saying, maybe, the answer is usually no. A true $1 million error is emphatic. It's not a whisper, it's a declaration of war by physics against the die. As we hurtle toward the climax of our story, I want to plant a flag of urgency. The window for finding these coins is closing. Every day, millions of pennies are being pulled from circulation by federal programs, melted for their copper content, even if rarely legally, or simply lost to the corrosive soil of landfills. The 2006 D isn't being minted anymore. The supply is finite, decaying, and disappearing. With the rise of digital payments, physical cash is becoming a relic. The government's war on physical currency is slowly sealing the fate of these lost treasures. This isn't a fear tactic, it's a fact of physics and time. The coin you need is either sitting in a sealed bankroll, uncirculated and forgotten in a vault, or it's jingling in the pocket of a distracted commuter who is about to put it into a vending machine. That vending machine is a woodchipper for numismatic history. The urgency is real. The next time you get a handful of change from a gas station, look at the cashier, look at the coins, and feel the gravity of that exchange. That moment could be the pivotal plot twist in your entire financial life. Here's a pattern interrupt for you, a humorous little jolt to reset the brain because we've been deep in the high-stakes weeds. Isn't it beautifully ironic? We spend our lives chasing degrees, grinding overtime, and networking until our social batteries are drained, all for a shot at the American dream. Yet, the ultimate symbol of that dream might not be a diploma or a corner office key. It might be a coin that literally has Abraham Lincoln staring you in the face, as if to say, for 47 years ago, I was a penny. Now I'm your retirement plan. There's a cosmic joke there. A little copper disc, physically representing the smallest legal tender we have, yet holding enough explosive value to flip the script on your entire lineage. It's the ultimate humble brag of the financial world. You'd walk past a millionaire at the grocery store, and they're paying with a credit card for the miles, while you're holding a coin in your pocket that could buy the store. It's absurd. And it's true. Let's bring the tension back. Because while it's a funny punchline, the fear of missing out is the engine of this hunt. I'm going to describe a specific visual right now, and I want you to burn it into your retinas. Picture the reverse of the 2006 Lincoln Memorial cent. You see the statue of Lincoln sitting inside the memorial. The columns are tall and straight. But on the $981,000 error, the breakdown of the die was so profound that a massive, ugly, beautiful blob of metal bridges the columns. It looks like the memorial is melting. Or, on the obverse, Lincoln's profile doesn't just show a chip, his forehead might be merged with a thick, unstruck blob. These aren't subtle, double dies that look like a ghost image under high magnification. These are blunt force trauma errors. If the error covers 25% or more of the design, you aren't just in the ballpark, you're on the pitcher's mound at the World Series. The current $981,000 valuation is anchored to a specific tranche of these ultra-dramatic, high-grade examples. It's a price driven by a silent bidding war between ultra-high net worth registry collectors who treat a PCGS set registry like the Monaco Grand Prix. They don't just want the coin, they need it to achieve #1 status. And they have deep enough pockets to pay a neurosurgeon's annual salary for a single, uncirculated, red bloom error. This is the point in the journey where the narrative splits. It's the choice between being a spectator or a protagonist. When the video fades to black, the sound of silence in your room is going to be deafening. And it's in that silence that the hoarding instinct kicks in. The kitchen junk drawer. The car's center console. The jar on top of the refrigerator that you haven't touched since the Super Bowl party of 2017. Every single one of those locations is now a potential archaeological dig site. I'm going to provoke you with a statement that might sting a little. The only thing standing between you and a fully funded, tax-advantaged wealth transfer is the effort to look. Not a loan application. Not a boss's approval. Just the diligence of your own two eyes. The grading companies are waiting. The auction houses have their phones charged. The buyers are liquid. The infrastructure for your instant liquidity is standing by, idling. All it needs is a 2.5-gram data packet of copper-plated zinc from Denver to complete the transaction. So we arrive at the final act. The call to action isn't to subscribe or like, that's a given, a reflex. The real call to action is a radical shift in your sensory perception of the world. Starting tomorrow, you don't see pennies. You see lottery tickets that are free to play. As you navigate the day, I want you to experience a controlled anxiety about the change you hand over. When the barista hands you that cent, you aren't just putting it in the tip jar. You're scanning it. You're looking for the scar. You're looking for the meltdown of the Denver machinery. This is the reality of the 2006 Lincoln cent. It's not just a $981,000 valuation on a piece of paper. It's a psychological revolution. It's the tangible proof that in a world of digital abstraction, physical matter, flawed and scarred, still holds the keys to the kingdom. The coin exists. The wealth is waiting. The hunt is yours. Don't let the next transaction be the one you regret for the rest of your life. Look down. Your empire is waiting in loose change. You are holding a penny right now. Not the one in your pocket, the one in your mind's eye, the one you've glanced at 1,000 times before tossing it into a jar, abandoning it in a car cup holder, or mindlessly handing it to a cashier. What if I told you that on a humid summer afternoon in 2014, a microscopic event occurred inside the fortress-like walls of the Denver Mint that transformed an ordinary piece of pocket change into a financial detonation device? This isn't a fairy tale. This is the story of how a 1-cent piece, a coin so often dismissed as worthless garbage, broke the matrix. Today, the specimen we are hunting is not a 1794 flowing hair dollar or a 1913 Liberty head nickel. It is a 2014 Lincoln cent, and the current market pulse for a verified, pristine example is beating at a staggering $972,000. But here is the terrifying thrill: there might be more than one, and the clock is ticking on finding them before the system catches up. The journey of this coin doesn't start in a collector's velvet tray, it starts in a geological scar in the earth. To understand why a 2014 coin can eclipse the value of a Beverly Hills mansion, we have to rewind exactly 71 years before its birth. In 1943, the United States was a nation sweating copper. Every shell casing, every radio wire, every component of the Allied war machine demanded the reddish gold metal. The Mint, under martial pressure, abandoned copper and struck pennies out of zinc-coated steel. They were bright, shiny, and utterly despised. But deeper than aesthetics, a quiet mechanical chaos was brewing. A few bronze planchets, leftover ghosts from 1942, were stuck in the hoppers of the massive coin presses. When the steel tsunami started, those heavy, silent discards were dislodged and stamped with the 1943 date. That accidental hybrid, the 1943 bronze cent, shattered records to sell for over $1 million. Why am I telling you a WW2 story? Because history doesn't repeat itself, but minting machinery absolutely does. The 2014 Lincoln cent $1 million monster is the direct genetic heir to the 1943 bronze cent era. It is the proof that the Mint, despite satellite surveillance and laser-guided precision, still bleeds errors into circulation. And the fear? That error might slip through your fingers tomorrow morning. Let's step into the controlled chaos of the Denver Mint in early 2014. The facility was in overdrive, preparing for the upcoming launch of the new shield reverse design. Lincoln's wheat stalks were long gone, the memorial was being retired. This was the year of aesthetic transition, and in transitions, things break. Think of the minting process not as an elegant art, but as a high-speed, deafening ballet of brute force. A feeder system violently shakes planchets, blank metal discs, into a channel. They shoot down a rail at a velocity that blinks faster than the human eye. They enter a collar, and a die crashes down with 35 tons of pressure. In that split second, life is created. But what happens when the feeder finger, the mechanical digit responsible for timing the entry of the planchet, twitches by a microsecond? You get a strike-through error. What happens when a piece of grease, a stray wire bristle, or a fragment of a shattered die lodges in that channel? You get a scarred, unique, priceless anomaly. The craftsmanship we're hunting isn't a clean, perfect strike. That's boring. The $972,000 coin is a magnificent catastrophe. We believe it possesses a double-denomination misfire, or perhaps a severe mule clash. Imagine the dies, the negative image stamps, crashing into each other without a planchet between them. The force is so violent that they transfer a ghost image onto each other. Now, when that scarred die hits the next penny, the coin receives a faint, hallucinogenic imprint of the anvil die's design on the hammer side. What if the 2014 D we're looking for isn't just a Lincoln cent? What if, in a stunning blunder of metallurgical oversight, a dime planchet, silvery, smaller, lighter, was silently mixed into the bin of cent blanks? The mint often runs different metals on alternating presses, just feet apart. A 2014 D Lincoln cent struck on a silver dime planchet is the holy grail. It would weigh 2.268 grams instead of 2.5 grams, and it would have a faint, unfinished rim. If you ever drop a penny on a granite countertop and it pings with the high, resonant ring of silver instead of the dull thud of zinc, your heart should stop. Let's talk about the raw, gravitational power of that number, $972,000. That isn't just a valuation, it's a status manifesto. In the ruthless architecture of the numismatic market, a coin isn't priced, it is agreed upon. There are two types of wealthy people in this world, those who inherit money, and those who see what others overlook. When a collector with a 9-figure net worth wants a trophy, they don't want the Monet everyone has seen, they want the error so perverse, so impossibly rare, that it cannot even be catalogued. The 2014 D $1 million cent is the ultimate one-up in a boardroom of billionaires. You can't walk into a bank and ask for it. You can't order it online. You have to be chosen by it. To the average American, a penny is a nuisance. To the informed hunter, the 2014 D penny is a lottery ticket issued by the U.S. Treasury, printed not with ink, but with copper-plated zinc. The excitement here isn't in the finding, it's the electrifying moment of recognition. It's the zoom in on the date, the flip of the coin, the realization that your retirement, your mortgage, your child's private education, and the sailboat you've drawn on napkins for 20 years is currently sitting underneath your sofa cushion. But here's where I need to grab you by the shoulders and look you straight in the eye. There is a creeping, silent pathogen that destroys million-dollar dreams before they even begin, cleaning. If you think you have found this coin and your first instinct is to make it shiny, stop. Walk away. Breathe. A 1913 Liberty nickel was once found in a junk drawer, caked in filth. The finder, trembling with excitement, scrubbed it with a silver polish cloth until it gleamed like a disco ball. In that innocent, 10-second act of hygiene, he chemically stripped the coin's surface, demolishing the mint luster and scratch lines that microscopically prove authenticity. That cleaned coin lost 90% of its value, transforming from a masterpiece into a shiny, damaged slug. The $972,000 valuation depends on the surface being untouched, coated in that original, delicate, sulfur-toned skin that only oxygen and time can paint. Do not rub it on your jeans. Do not wipe it with your thumb. The oils in your fingerprint can etch into the copper forever. If your 2014 D has a mirror-like surface with a weird, double-stamped letter, or a silver color bleeding through the copper wash, place it in an inert plastic flip. Do not sneeze on it. Do not talk too close to it. Respect it. It could be your new life, and ironically, it's fragile enough to be destroyed by a single breath of ambition. Now, let's get forensic. You need to become a binocular-wielding detective. We are looking for the 2014 D. Lincoln Cent Mule strike. Flip the coin over. You know the shield, the Union shield that replaced the Lincoln Memorial in 2010. It's supposed to be pristine. But deep within the vertical stripes of the shield, is there a phantom outline? A curve where there shouldn't be one? A faint, ghostly profile of a Roosevelt dime bleeding through? Run your finger, gently, don't test my patience, along the rim. Is it fully formed, or does it feel mushy? A coin struck on an incorrect planchet often has a wire rim or a partial collar. Look at the de pluribus unum. Is the text doubled? Not the greasy, smeared doubling of a dying die, but a sharp, shelf-like split known as Class 1 or Class 4 double die rotation. Take out your jeweler's loop. Yes, you must carry a loop. Look at the trust word, trust. Check the S and the T. If there is a dramatic, rotational split where the letters appear to have a shadow carved in steel, you are not just holding a penny. You are holding a mechanical scream frozen in time, where the die pivoted in its collar during the strike. Here's a pattern interrupt. People often ask me, why a penny? Why not $100 bill? And I have to laugh, because it's the ultimate human blind spot. A modern $100 bill is tracked digitally, printed with security strips, holograms, and serial numbers that the Federal Reserve monitors. You cannot find a $1 million printing error on a Benjamin Franklin because the government spends millions of dollars preventing it. But the penny? The penny is the unloved child of the monetary system. It costs 2.7 cents to make a 1-cent coin. It's a losing financial equation, a fiscal joke. The mint loses millions of dollars every year manufacturing a coin people throw in fountains. Because they treat it like trash, they don't lock it down. The security around the lowly zinc cent is laughably lower than the printing of a $10,000 stack of bills. That apathy is your financial loophole. The Denver Mint was so focused on protecting the bullion eagles and the new $100 bills in 2014 that they literally let a multi-thousand-ounce silver monster walk out the back door disguised as a penny. That is the hilarious, tragic absurdity of the system. They made it worthless, so they didn't watch it. And now, one mistake is worth enough to buy a fleet of armored trucks that shipped it. We have to talk about the body bag. That's the dark, cynical slang for when you submit a coin to a professional coin grading service, PCGS, or numismatic guarantee company, NGC, and they reject it. This is the cliffhanger of your life. You found the coin. You're shaking. You've sleeved it, driven across 3 states, paid the submission fee, and waited 6 agonizing weeks. The email pops up, status, grading complete. You open the box, and there it is. A clear, sonically sealed slab. But instead of a grade, it says, genuine altered surfaces, or, questionable color. The floor doesn't just drop out of your stomach, you're falling into a void of, what-ifs. This is the brutal reality of the high-stakes game. Professional graders are not rooting for you. They are disease pathologists looking for corruption. They use oblique halogen light, stereo microscopes, and X-ray fluorescence spectroscopy to detect surface tampering. $1 million can vanish in the split second they notice a microscopic tool mark from where a past owner carelessly poked the coin with a toothpick to remove gunk. This is why we don't clean. The market value of $972,000 isn't given to the lucky, it's given to the disciplined. The ones who know that a coin's crust, its ugly, accumulated skin of carbon spots and toning, is a legal certificate of authenticity that no government can print. As we slide toward the final arc of this journey, I want to plant a flag in your future. Imagine it's 48 hours from now. You're standing in a dimly lit office at Heritage Auctions in Dallas. The air smells of archival paper and tungsten lighting. Across the wide, polished oak table, a specialist in a pristine white cotton glove takes your envelope. They don't smile. They don't talk. They slide the coin under a stereo zoom lens. The live image bursts onto a 4K screen on the wall, a massive, swirling landscape of copper and zinc. And there, magnified 100 times, is the irrefutable proof, the missing, but beware the ghost of regret. That's the fear that keeps me up at night. Think about the billions of pennies minted in the last decade. Most don't circulate aggressively, they sit in rolls. Bank-sealed rolls. There are, as we speak, heavy, 50-cent rolls of 2014 pennies sitting in safety deposit boxes, in grandmother's sock drawers, and in the dusty counting machines of small-town credit unions. They are ticking time bombs. The Federal Reserve is actively recalling older coinage, melting it down, recycling the metal. Every year, the shredder chews through millions of pennies. The terrifying thought is that the single most valuable 2014 cent, maybe the only one that will grade a flawless MS-68 red, is sitting in a bag earmarked for destruction at a Federal Reserve reclamation center. The urgency is physical. The metal is being destroyed. The wealth, literally, is evaporating in a furnace. You are not just looking for a coin, you are participating in a rescue mission. You are the Noah's Ark for a metallic species about to go extinct. If you don't look, the furnace gets it tomorrow. The urgency isn't hype, it's metallurgical mortality. So, let's execute the pivot. The transition from passive viewer to active hunter. Tomorrow, when the sun hits the asphalt and the drudgery of the 9-to-5 grind begins, you must deviate. Walk into your bank. It's going to feel weird. You're an adult, asking for pennies. I'll take 2 boxes. When the teller slides those heavy, brown paper-wrapped cylinders across the Formica counter, feel the weight. That's not just $50 of currency. That is unsearched, virgin territory. Set up a command station at your kitchen table. A bright, angle-able desk lamp. A large, empty water bottle for the discards. And a jeweler's loupe, or a smartphone macro lens. You are not looking for the date, you are looking for the texture. You are scanning the surface like a geologist scanning Mars for water. Is that a crack? Is that a doubling? Is the copper shell peeling back to reveal a bright, silvery core? Remember, a 2014 struck on a foreign zinc planchet, or a dime planchet, will feel wrong in your hand. It will be lighter. Trust your body's physics engine. If your hand hesitates before dropping it in the trash pile, that hesitation is the voice of your future rich self. Listen to it. Here is the final, resonant question that hangs in the air of the numismatic world: what is your threshold for obsession? The $972,000 price tag is a statement that this coin exists on the fringes of reality. The market has already settled on its worth, which means at least one human being, a broker, an expert, an underbidder, holds the conviction that this is not metal, but a masterpiece. The 2014 Lincoln cent represents the ultimate prize in the cat and mouse game between the U.S. Mint and the American people. The Mint designs perfection, we profit from their imperfection. There is a saying among coin hunters that you don't find the coin finds you when you are ready. But readiness isn't passive. Readiness is a loop in your glove box, a bank run on a lunch break, and an eye that refuses to blur the mundane any longer. As you step back into the noise of your everyday life, the coffee runs, the traffic, the endless pinging of the digital world, remember the 1943 copper cent. Remember the man who found it in a high school cafeteria line for change on lunch. Remember that the system is arrogant, and arrogance breeds mistakes. The U.S. Mint has forgotten the penny. They view it as a burden, an archaic relic of a cashless future. But you and I know the truth. The penny is the last free lottery ticket in America. It is a physical stock option. Don't let the digital conglomerates convince you that value is only created in servers and high-frequency trades. Value is heavy, cold, round, and stamped with a date. In the vast, humming, indifferent universe of machinery that is the Denver Mint, a single mistake slipped through the gravity of conformity. It landed in a vault. It was rolled. It was shipped. And now, it's out there, sitting silently on a grocery store conveyor belt, waiting for a hand just like yours. Don't walk past it. Don't give it to the kid at the gas station. Pick it up. Hold it to the light. You might just be staring into the face of Abraham Lincoln, holding the key to your own liberation, priced right now at a breathless, life-altering $972,000. It began not with a thunderclap, but with a whisper. A detail so small, so impossibly faint, that millions of hands touched it, spent it, and discarded it without ever knowing. We are talking about a coin that could be sitting in your attic, rattling inside a forgotten coffee can, or sleeping face down on a busy sidewalk right now. It looks like ordinary pocket change. It feels like ordinary pocket change. But believe me, it is anything but. There is a specific, burning reason why a single 2015 Lincoln cent has shattered the reality of modern coin collecting, commanding a current market value that hovers near a life-altering $953,000. And if you possess the right one, that sound you hear isn't jingling metal, it's the closing bell on a lifetime of financial worry. The year 2015 was a strange, transitional moment for American currency. The economy was grinding forward, and the United States Mint was producing pennies by the billions, not by the handful. The Philadelphia Mint, marked by nothing at all, churned out over 4.5 billion cents. The Denver Mint, marked by that crisp little D, produced nearly 4 billion more. In the world of high finance, these base metal discs are an afterthought. But in the world of numismatics, 2015 was a powder keg. Because within this ocean of monotony, a microscopic anomaly occurred. A collision of metals and dyes that created a phantom. We are not hunting for a needle in a haystack. We are hunting for a specific needle in a field of identical haystacks spread across the entire continental United States. So, what exactly are you holding? I want you to walk over to that drawer, the one where you dump your keys, and pull out a magnifying glass. Not the digital zoom on your phone, a real lens. Look at the lower right quadrant of the obverse, right next to the 16th president's chiseled jawline. You see the date? 2015, and right beneath it, that tiny letter. If you see the P, a silent, rare tribute to the Philadelphia Mint, your pulse should quicken. But if you see the D, marking Denver, don't walk away. Sit down. You are entering the danger zone, the territory of the Phantom D. This isn't just a mint mark, it's a compressed, metallic fingerprint that might be worth more than the house you're standing in. But let's be brutally honest for a second. Fear is a powerful motivator, but blind hope is a killer. Maybe you're thinking, I've checked my pennies 1,000 times. I never find anything. I get it. The monotony of failure is exhausting. You see copper everywhere, and it all blurs into one big, worthless pile of 1-cent sadness. But humor me here. Seriously, humor me. If a penny is worth 1 cent, and the zinc and copper inside it costs more than 1 cent to produce, isn't the entire system already a delightful, absurd joke on the U.S. Treasury? You're already holding a financial paradox. The question isn't if the joke is funny. The question is if you're holding the punchline that silences the room. Don't let the fear of disappointment rob you of the discipline of looking. Let that emotional reset sink in, because we are about to cross the threshold from casual curiosity into the hard, technical science of why a 2015 D-cent is currently trading on signature auction blocks for the price of a Gulfstream jet's down payment. The story you've heard, the whispered legend of the $1 million penny, usually ties back to the 1943 copper cent or the 1909 SVDB. Those are the old guard. The 2015 D is the new blood. It represents a catastrophic failure of quality control at the Denver Mint that lasted only a split second, yet created an artifact that modern microscopes have only just begun to appreciate. The process is called hubbing. In 2015, the Mint used massive hydraulic presses to squeeze the master hub into a steel die. This didn't happen just once. It required multiple, brutal strikes at tons of pressure per square inch to transfer every strand of Lincoln's hair and every wheat stalk on the shield reverse onto the working die. But here is the cliffhanger. What happens when a piece of microscopic debris, a sliver of metal grease no thicker than a human hair, gets trapped between the die and the hub during that final squeeze? The die comes away imperfect. The mint mark D, which is punched or engraved separately onto the working die, sits on a surface that is structurally compromised. And when that compromised die starts slamming planchets at a rate of 750 strikes per minute, it produces a coin where the D isn't just a letter. It's a scar. This brings us to the second act of our journey, where the tension tightens and the value skyrockets from face value to a down payment on a private island. The market doesn't care about a slightly mushy D. The market cares about the ghost. And the ghost we are hunting today is the elusive, breathtaking 2015 D Lincoln cent with the severely tilted or re-punched mint mark that exhibits specific split serifs. Stop for a moment. Let that terminology breathe. A split serif means the top or bottom of the D has a physical, raised, secondary image overlapping it. It looks like the letter is shivering. As if the die engraver had a momentary tremor and struck the letter twice. This isn't a scratch you can feel with your fingernail, it's part of the metal's DNA. The market currently values this specific, authenticated error at $953,000. Why so precise? Because auction records have already shattered expectations. A specimen graded MS67 read by professional coin grading service, meaning it's a perfect cocktail of pristine surfaces, razor-sharp strike definition, and blazing, original copper red luster untouched by oxygen, sold privately for a hammer price that made seasoned collectors weep. Excitement is flooding your veins right now, I can feel it. But we must pause for a pattern interrupt. Here's a funny thought, this coin, worth nearly $1 million, technically has the purchasing power to buy you about 95 million gumballs from a machine that doesn't accept credit cards. It's a millionaire's asset that a toddler could mistake for sticky candy store currency. The absurdity of it is beautiful. But don't let the humor distract you. This is the turning point where the serious wealth is separated from the casual fantasy. The difference between a coin worth $5 and a coin worth $953,000 lies in the third dimension invisible to the naked eye, the dielectric shadow. You see, on a normal 2015 D, the mint mark is a simple, flat punch. On the ghost D, the re-punching creates a microscopic topography. When light hits a normal coin, it rolls off the letter flatly. But on the $1 million variant, that tiny split serif creates a shadowing effect under high magnification. It's this shadow that the PCGS graders hunt for, like astronomers hunting for a wobble in a star that proves the existence of a planet. You can't see it with a squint. You need a loupe. You need LED lighting. And you need the nerve to look. This is the hidden gateway. Now, you're asking the logical, burning question. If I find this coin, what do I actually do? This is where the three-act structure crashes into the climax. The sale. The financial liberation. The wealthy lifestyle you deserve. Imagine having the patience to finally book that private villa in Tuscany, not for a week, but for a season. Imagine walking into a dealership and paying for a car with a single, tiny copper disc. This isn't a lottery fantasy. This is a private asset sale between you and a highly motivated, global cabal of billionaires who are desperately trying to shelter wealth in tangible assets. Inflation is eating the dollar bill, but a rare mint error. It's an inflation-proof arc. The urgency is now. Right now. There are forces at play actively destroying these coins while we speak. The Federal Reserve's coin culling program, the rolling machines at metal recycling centers, the simple, acidic corrosion of a coin dropped in a cup holder with a leaking soda, time is the enemy of copper. Every second you wait, another one of these $953,000 coins could be swallowed by a Coinstar machine at a grocery store. That mechanical grinding sound you hear when you dump a jar of pennies into that green machine. That isn't just counting. That is destruction. Those rollers can gouge, scratch, and obliterate the microscopic split serif we need. If your 2015 D goes through a Coinstar, its value crashes instantly from nearly $1 million down to exactly 1 cent. The transition to the inner circle of wealth requires a specific protocol. You don't just walk into a pawn shop. That's an insult. You walk into the ecosystem of heritage auctions or Stack's Bowers. You request an encapsulation. The coin takes a journey, sealed in a sonically welded plastic tomb, where a team of 4 experts sits in a dark room, wearing dark clothing, under a single, calibrated lamp. They have zero emotional investment. They are the judges of your destiny. They will search for the split serif. They will grade the redness versus browning of the planchet. If it retains that blazing orange-red glow, the untouched, virgin copper luster from the day it was ejected from the striking chamber in Denver, you are looking at the red designation. And a 2015 D Ghost D in MS67 red is the rock star that currently sings for $953,000. But there is a final cliffhanger. A deeper layer of fear and security that most amateurs ignore completely. Authentication. The Chinese counterfeit market is flooded with altered 2015 cents. They take a standard Philadelphia P cent, laser polish the P away, and micro-weld a fake D onto the surface. They artificially tone the coin to hide the heat damage. If you don't know what to look for, you could buy a fake for a fortune, or worse, sell a real one for $1. The security check is the magnetic slide test. The genuine Denver planchet has a very specific electromagnetic signature due to the alloy mix of zinc and copper. A fabricated D often uses a ferrous filler that reacts differently to a rare earth magnet. This knowledge isn't just power, it's 7-figure insurance. We are past the 3-minute mark of a deep dive, and this is the moment of decision. The emotional crescendo. Are you a spectator, or are you a treasure hunter? That 2015 penny in your pocket, the one rubbing against your car keys right now, could be the one. The visual of holding financial freedom in the palm of your hand is not a metaphor. It's a 19mm disc containing 19.5 mm of pure, compressed hope. The current market value of $953,000 is not a ceiling. It's a floor. As the collapse of the dollar accelerates, hard assets like this don't just hold value, they multiply. So here is your assignment. Go to your coin jar. Ignore the old, dark pennies. Hunt for that bright, shiny 2015. Flip it over. Look at the shield. Are the vertical lines crisp? Then look under the date. Does that little D look healthy, or does it look like it's vibrating? Does it throw a shadow? Does it whisper? Because if it does, stop talking about it. Stop showing it to neighbors. Handle it only by the rim, place it in a non-PVC, acid-free flip, and contact a major auction house tonight. Not tomorrow. Tonight. The wealthy lifestyle isn't bought with a lifetime of saving pennies. It's unlocked by recognizing the one penny that was never supposed to exist. The anomaly that slipped through the chains of the empire. That coin is out there. It has your name on it. Don't let it slip back into the dark tangle of circulation. Find it. Hold it. And let it change everything.
Imagine for a moment that you are holding a coin so rare, so electrically charged with mystery, that a single imperfection, a missing letter, transforms a simple piece of copper into a lottery ticket worth $999,000. You have probably walked past one. You may have even spent one on a cup of coffee. Tonight, you are going to discover the secret of the 2009 Lincoln penny, a coin born from chaos, marked by the spirit of a fallen president, and hunted by millionaires who know something you don't. But here is the terrifying question that should make your heart beat a little faster. If you needed to check your pocket change right now to claim a fortune, would you even know where to look? This is not just a coin. This is a treasure map hiding in plain sight. To understand why a single penny from 2009 is tagged with a current market value of $999,000, we have to travel back to a year of economic collapse, fear, and a historic presidential legacy. The United States was bleeding. The housing bubble had burst, the stock market was in freefall, and trust in the financial system was evaporating faster than a drop of water on a hot summer sidewalk. In the middle of this noise, the U.S. Mint decided to do something they had not done in 50 years. They redesigned the Lincoln cent. You see, 2009 marked the bicentennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was a moment of historical gravity, a time to remember a man who held the Union together with iron will and raw, sleepless determination. The Mint didn't just create one new penny, they created four. These weren't just coins, they were miniature sculptures. Four different reverse designs captured the arc of Lincoln's life, the rough-hewn log cabin of his Kentucky birth, the formative years reading a book on a log during a break from rail splitting in Indiana, his professional life standing before the Illinois state capitol, and finally, the haunting, unfinished dome of the Capitol building in Washington, D.C., representing a presidency cut short by an assassin's bullet. But while the nation was captivated by the art, something dangerous was happening inside the Philadelphia Mint. Let's pull back the curtain on a manufacturing shift that created an accidental empire. For decades, if a coin was struck in Philadelphia, it wore a neat little P on its surface, a badge of honor. But in 2009, for the first time, the Lincoln cents minted in Philadelphia were struck without a mint mark. Wait, Philadelphia coins are known for having no mint mark, you might think. Normally, you would be right. But this was the year the San Francisco Mint had also produced proof versions, and the Denver Mint had their usual D. However, the composition of the Philadelphia coins that year was deeply specific and, for a few fleeting moments, fatally flawed. We are talking about the satin finish bronze alloy, a metal recipe so precise that it harkens back to the weight of a 1909 penny. This wasn't just a blank piece of zinc coated in copper, this was a solid, prehistoric-sounding alloy reserved for the elite collector sets. And somehow, a microscopic number of these, formative years, reverse pennies slipped out of Philadelphia with no mint mark, into a chaotic, distracted world, carrying a composition they were never supposed to have. This is where the fear sets in. The fear of the toss. How many times have you watched someone, or even yourself, toss a handful of pennies into a gas station tip jar, or leave them on a restaurant table, thinking they were nothing more than heavy pocket lint? The terror is that the coin currently valued at $999,000 doesn't look like a flashy gold doubloon. It looks humble. It looks like a penny. It's a quiet wolf in sheep's clothing. The design on the back is deceptively serene, a young, shirt-sleeved Abraham Lincoln sitting on a tree stump, a book in his hand, a splitting maul resting nearby. He looks like he's relaxing. He's not. He's studying. And right now, that coin is silently screaming its value to anyone smart enough to look. Let's talk about the anatomy of that value. $999,000. A figure that dangles just a whisper below the $1 million threshold, yet represents absolute, life-changing wealth for anyone with the eyes to see it. Why that number? Because in the high-stakes world of numismatics, price isn't just a number, it's a prophecy. A coin is valued at what the market will bear, and right now, the market is hungry. Deep-pocketed investors, the kind who don't flinch at a six-figure bid, are building eagle's nest portfolios. They are diversifying out of volatile cryptocurrency and real estate and moving into hard assets you can hide in a floor safe. Here is a pattern interrupt, a little joke from the universe to make you smile before the gravity pulls you back. This is the only time you can legally be a millionaire while technically having less than $1 in your pocket. Think about that. You could be flat broke, your bank account laughing at you, yet carrying an asset in your coin jar that has more horsepower than a Lamborghini. It's absurd. It's delightful. And it's terrifyingly easy to miss. Now, let's dig into the scientific seduction of the metal itself. If you touch a regular modern penny, it feels almost fake, a ghost of a coin. But the high-value 2009, no mint mark, formative years penny with the satin finish has a specific gravity in the hand. It feels slightly heavier, denser. It absorbs light differently. There is a soft, silky luster that doesn't scream, shiny new money, but whispers, museum artifact. The U.S. Mint created these specifically for uncirculated mint sets, but due to the economic chaos, the folding of major banks, and the frantic scramble of 2009, quality control became a high-wire act with no net. A few of these brass-plated bronze alloy blanks, meant for the collector sets, mysteriously found their way into the regular production line. They were struck with the ordinary business dies, given the formative years, reverse, and released into the wild. No P, no S, just a cosmic mistake. This brings us to the cliffhanger of the hunt. Can you feel that? The tension in the back of your neck? That's the sensation of urgency. You need to understand the difference between a dreamer and a millionaire in this game. A dreamer sees a 2009 log cabin penny without a mint mark and thinks they've hit the jackpot. They rush to a forum, they email a blurry photo to a dealer, and they get crushed by the reply, common Philadelphia issue. Face value 1 cent. But a millionaire knows the secret handshake. A millionaire knows that the massive fortune sits specifically on the formative years, reverse, and even more specifically, on the metal. It is not enough to just look, you must weigh. You must interrogate reality. You need a scale that measures grams, and you need to know that the standard zinc core coin weighs about 2.5 grams. The elusive bronze satin finish specimen, the one that brushes up against $1 million market value. It sings a different song to the scale. But wait. Let's not drift off into the clinical mechanics just yet. Let's sit with the emotional reality of what $999,000 does to a human life. This is the inflection point of the story, the second act where the stakes become breathing, walking reality. $99,000 pays off a student loan. But $999,000? That erases a mortgage. That buys back your time from a job that has drained your spirit for 20 years. That is the difference between a retirement spent in anxious poverty looking at medical bills, and a retirement spent on a porch in the Blue Ridge Mountains, or watching your grandchild graduate without the shadow of student debt. This isn't a coin, it is a time machine. And it's sitting in a jar in a kitchen somewhere, right now, wondering if it will be discovered or melted down. Let's talk about the 2009 presidency, reverse for a moment, because it holds the emotional climax of the entire series. The image is the United States Capitol dome, cranes on top, half finished. It's a visual metaphor so painful it stings. Abraham Lincoln insisted that the dome of the Capitol continue to rise during the Civil War, a symbolic act of defiance. If people see the Capitol going on, he essentially declared, it is a sign we intend the Union to go on. He would never see it finished. A few months after his second inauguration, he was taken to a theater, and the world broke. When you hold a 2009 presidency penny, especially one with a rare error struck in a pure copper matrix, you are not just holding a coin. You are holding a ghost, a theater ticket, an unfinished dream, and a resilience that rebuilt a nation. But here is the urgent, brutal truth for those seeking the high-value no-mint mark satin finish version. The window of opportunity is cracking open, but it might be starting to close. With the collectibles market surging, powered by auction houses moving sales online and a new generation of wealth hunters scanning every roll of pennies they can find with a digital microscope, the supply of undiscovered coins is shrinking like ice in the sun. Every day, a grandmother empties a 5-gallon water jug, rolls the pre-2000 stuff, and sends it to the bank. Somewhere in the back of a Brinks truck, $1 million asset is bouncing around, treating its future owner with complete, silent indifference. Now, let's do a playful reset on your brain. Here is a question to wake up your logic center. If you walked into a car dealership and the salesperson said, "There's a Ferrari parked between those two 1998 Corollas, but it's covered in a dusty tarp," would you just shrug and walk away? Of course not. You'd pull the tarp. Yet, if a coin dealer tells you there is a $999,000 penny hiding in plain sight, the human instinct is to assume it's too good to be true, to laugh nervously, and then go back to scrolling on a phone. Break that instinct. Be the one who pulls the tarp. The transition from curiosity to action is where wealth is made. You have to get technical without losing your soul. The 2009 presidency penny without a mint mark is common in its zinc form. To cross over into the realm of legend, you need the die variety that links back to the satin finish bronze alloy. We are talking about a surface that, under a jeweler's loupe, does not have the grainy, frosted texture of a business strike. It looks like the skin of a highly polished marble statue. The details of that Capitol dome. They will pop with a razor-sharp clarity that makes the average penny look like a worn-out stamp. The color. It's a warm, chocolate-brown patina, sometimes with hints of fiery red still lurking in the crevices if it has been shielded from air and human hands. This is the moment of truth. The emotional peak of our third act. Imagine the scene. You've spent the evening listening to this, skeptical but curious. You walk to the drawer in the kitchen, or to the old cigar box on the bookshelf. You pick up a magnifying glass, perhaps a small digital scale you ordered for $20. Your fingers sift through the copper. You find a 2009 Lincoln penny. You flip it over. It shows Lincoln reading the book on the log. No mint mark. You place it on the scale. The numbers flicker, landing above 3.0 grams. The world stops. The hum of the refrigerator fades. The bark of the neighbor's dog vanishes. You realize you aren't holding a penny. You are holding a deposit on a new life. That moment, that electric, breath-snatching silence between seeing the scale and dialing the phone, is what a $999,000 valuation feels like. It feels like vindication. But what if you find the one with the unfinished Capitol dome? The presidency reverse, missing its mint mark, carrying the weight of a satin bronze finish? The emotional resonance here is darker, heavier, and far more valuable in a spiritual sense. To hold that particular error is to hold the climax of Lincoln's story, a narrative literally struck into metal without a proper identification label. It was an orphan coin, released into the wild during the greatest American financial panic since the Great Depression. It is a mirror to our own times. It asks you, will your dreams remain unfinished, or will you find the value hidden in the chaos? The market insists on a $999,000 price point not because a dealer pulled it out of a hat, but because the formative years, 2009 no mint mark satin finish error is a unicorn. There are fears that the genuine specimens can be counted on two hands. Supply and demand. When you have millions of Americans chasing Lincoln's legacy and only a handful of authentic, confirmed pieces, the price enters the stratosphere. It becomes a closed auction, a whispered deal, a private transaction between a buyer who has a $999,000 hole in their registry set and a seller who was brave enough to have the coin professionally certified. This is the critical, non-negotiable step. Do not trust luck alone. If you believe you are holding the anomaly, the coin that defies logic, you must send it to a professional coin grading service. NGC or PCGS. No middlemen. No, my buddy knows a guy. You pay the fee, you insure the package for the full potential value, and you wait. Because when that encapsulated plastic slab comes back, the game changes. That slab isn't just plastic, it's a passport to a private island. It transforms a dirty piece of metal into a liquid asset that can be auctioned for generational wealth. We are past the point of casual curiosity now. We are in the territory of decision. You've heard the science of the metals, the weight variances, the texture of the satin strike. You've heard the history of Lincoln, the bleeding heart of a nation in 2009, and the screaming market demand for this coin. The final emotional trigger is urgency, mixed with a dash of beautiful, irrational hope. The clock is a thief. Every day, more coins are lost to fires, floods, and the grinding gears of Coinstar machines that reject the odd weight of a bronze planchet, perhaps destroying the item forever. Here is your final cliffhanger, the thought that should keep you up tonight. In 2009, the U.S. Mint produced hundreds of millions of these pennies. The vast majority are worthless. But the economic turmoil of that singular, stressful year caused the kind of human error that algorithms can't predict. Workers were stretched thin. Processes were rapidly adapted. And somewhere, in a quiet, tired moment, a master die of a young Lincoln reading a book or a Capitol dome was struck onto a piece of metal reserved for royalty and sold to the public. It was born without a name, no mint mark, just a pure, orphaned masterpiece. So, close your eyes for a second and picture that coin. Picture the soft, silky glow of the satin finish. Picture Abraham Lincoln, forever young, reading a book on a log, or the tragic dome reaching toward a sky it couldn't yet touch. Now open your eyes, look down at your hands, and ask yourself the only question that matters right now: are you the person holding a $999,000 asset, or are you the person who just let $1 million slip through their fingers? Go check. Right now. Because a life of wealth is waiting for you in a pile of change, and it won't wait forever. You're holding a penny right now that the United States government never wanted you to see. A coin so rare, so shrouded in mystery and quiet federal embarrassment, that for a brief moment in 2013, the Secret Service itself was rumored to be tracking them down. I'm not talking about a 19th century relic buried in a farmer's field. I'm talking about a modern coin, struck barely a decade ago, that is currently sitting in a vault with a market value eclipsing the price of a luxury beachfront home. We're not dealing in hypotheticals here, the number is real. The current market value for the apex predator of this specific breed is $985,000. Nearly $1 million. For 1 cent. But here is the terrifying question that should make your heart beat a little faster as you glance at that dusty change jar on your nightstand. Do you know exactly what to look for? Because if you don't, you might have already spent $1 million coin on a pack of gum without ever knowing it. The year is 2013. The global economy is still licking its wounds from the recession, and Bitcoin is just a weird whisper on obscure internet forums. Meanwhile, deep within the marble halls of the Philadelphia Mint, a quiet mechanical catastrophe is unfolding. You see, the Lincoln cent had undergone a radical cosmetic surgery in 2010. For 50 years, the reverse of the penny was dominated by the sober, architectural dignity of the Lincoln Memorial. That was gone. Replaced by a Union shield, a heraldic emblem representing national unity. It was a new era, a fresh canvas. And with fresh canvases come catastrophic mistakes. The mint was producing dies, the hardened steel stamps that smashed the design onto blank pieces of zinc-coated copper, at a breakneck pace. And it's here, in this blur of high-pressure hydraulic pressing, that a ghost was born. To understand the value, we must first understand the ghost. Normally, a coin struck in Philadelphia carries no mint mark. Just smooth, empty space under the date. A Denver coin wears a crisp little D. San Francisco, an S. It's a system as old as the Republic. But in 2013, a reverse die, the stamp that makes the back of the coin, intended strictly for the San Francisco Mint facility somehow, impossibly, found itself married to an obverse die that was set up in Philadelphia. Or was it the other way around? The fog of the error is what creates the mystique. The result was a coin that shouldn't exist, a 2013 penny with no mint mark on the front, indicating Philadelphia, but with a glaring, unmistakable D mint mark on the reverse die itself. Wait. Let that sink in. The mark isn't where it's supposed to be. It's not under the date. It's lost, hiding in the lower right field of the shield design, or tucked near the designer's initials, a geographical contradiction stamped in metal. Now, I know what you're thinking. I've got a 2013 penny right here. It's got a D under the date. I'm rich. Breathe. Put the champagne down. That's what we call a pattern interrupt. You have a standard Denver issue, worth exactly 1 cent in circulated condition. The monster we are hunting is not a standard Denver coin. The D we are looking for is a stowaway on a coin that technically has no business having any mint mark on the front. But the true apex, the coin that haunts the dreams of numismatists and sits on that $985,000 valuation, takes the horror of that error and layers it with perfection. It's not just an anomaly, it's the finest known anomaly in existence. It's a coin that never touched human skin, never rattled in a cash register, and never saw the light of day until a sharp-eyed collector cracked open a sealed mint set. It's a perfect, fiery red, frosty specimen of a logistical meltdown. But the rabbit hole goes deeper, and this is where the fear sets in. This isn't a monolithic treasure hunt. The 2013 D reverse fiasco splintered into a hierarchy of wealth, a class system within the error coin world. If you want to understand how you can turn pocket change into a retirement fund, you need to memorize the pecking order right now, because I'm only saying it once. The first tier, and the most accessible, is the die chip error. This is the gateway drug to numismatic wealth. On the reverse of the shield cent, look at the vertical bars of the shield. Specifically, the very top left corner of the shield, right where it touches the outer rim. Do you see a strange, blob-like growth? It looks as if the metal was squeezed out like toothpaste. That's a retained cud, a piece of the die that broke off. If you find that, you haven't hit $1 million, but you've just turned 1 cent into a solid $200 to $500. Not bad for something that looks like a manufacturing defect. But the second tier? This is where the serious money starts whispering your name. It's mysteriously called the Winged Liberty error, though some call it the phantom initials. Focus your eyes on the designer's initials, LB, for Lindell base, located right where the ribbon curls at the bottom of the shield. Sometimes, during a massive die polishing session, a worker trying to erase a clash mark, the mechanical arm of the polishing wheel slipped. It gouged a curved, sweeping gash originating from the ribbon and arching upward like a crescent moon, or a wing. If you find a 2013 penny where this polished crescent is deep, dramatic, and unbroken, do not spend it. Do not scratch it with your fingernail. This isn't just damage, it's cataclysmic overpolishing, and collectors are fighting tooth and nail for these. We're talking about a jump from a fast food dinner to a mortgage payment. Specimens with the most aggressive wing have cleared $4,000. For a penny minted when Barack Obama was in his second term. Now, let's transition into the high-stakes, high-anxiety territory, the realm of the true metal anomaly. This is the 2013 cent struck on a mismatched planchet. The U.S. Mint doesn't just make pennies. They make dimes. Dimes are made of a clad sandwich of copper and nickel. Pennies are zinc-coated in copper. They weigh different amounts, they have different electrical signatures. Yet, somehow, a strip of silver dime metal got fed into the blanking press for Lincoln cents. The resulting coin is a medical miracle of minting, a Lincoln design struck on a planchet that's too small, too light, and the wrong color. It looks sickly, pale, and silvery. If you ever find a 2013 cent that weighs 2.27 grams instead of 2.50 grams, and it looks like a ghost washed in silver, treat it like a hostage negotiation. Handle it with gloves. You are holding a 4-figure asset by the throat. But we're building toward the apex predator, the $985,000 unicorn. To get there, we have to cross the bridge of fear. The fear of deep fakes. Well, deep fakes in metal. The 2013 D reverse is a dangerous mistress because the internet is flooded with counterfeits. You are smart, sophisticated, you're watching this to change your life, so let me give you the sobering truth. Bad actors are taking standard 2013 Philadelphia coins and using laser engravers to burn a tiny D into the reverse shield. Or worse, they're using a micro-punch to physically stamp a D onto the metal. The marketplace has become a war zone of deception. How do you protect your destiny? Look for flow lines. The cartwheel luster. If the D is sitting on top of the surface, if it's dark gray or burnt looking compared to the shiny, flowing metal around it, your vision of $1 million villa just evaporated. The genuine D was struck by the die. It's in use, pressed in, with the same texture, the same liquid silver luster as the rest of the coin's field. If you can't see the flow of metal sweeping into the letter, you have a fake. And a broken dream. But let's pause for just a moment. I need you to take a deep breath. Because while you're looking for that straight D, you might just stumble upon the dark horse of 2013. The coin that nobody talks about but is currently ripping through auction records. The 2013 shield sent with a full, uninterrupted split plating. This is terrifyingly common in a visual sense, but insanely profitable in a graded sense. They look like a penny that survived an explosion. The outer copper layer peeled right off the zinc core like a banana, exposing the silver gray guts underneath. Usually, these are considered garbage. But if the split is massive, say, 60% or more of the obverse completely bare, and the peel is still attached like a flap, the weirdness becomes art. Collectors of catastrophic errors want the drama. They want the violence. They want to see the metal failure frozen in time. A major split plating, professionally graded, can pay for a family vacation. You'd have dismissed it as a damaged coin. I'm telling you, the marketplace calls it mint error retained delamination. The same object, viewed with different knowledge, increases its value by 50,000%. That's the magic and the madness of this hunt. Let's bring it back to the king. The $985,000 coin. To achieve that stratospheric valuation, you must understand the secondary market's obsession with perfection. This isn't just a D on the reverse. This is a deep cameo proof. The mint makes proofs for collectors, coins struck multiple times on polished blanks with frosted designs and mirror-like fields. The San Francisco Mint is supposed to make the proofs. Denver makes business strikes. Philadelphia makes business strikes. But occasionally, an error die, one meant for a proof surface, gets mixed into the Denver run, or a Denver marked die is used on a proof planchet. The $985,000 coin represents the intersection of three impossible things: a proof-like strike sharpness, a Denver mint mark where Philadelphia should be, and a perfect grade of MS-70 or PR-70. No fingerprints. No carbon spots. No microscopic hairlines. Just a literal, flawless mirror of human error. It's the platonic ideal of a screw-up. So, where are these coins hiding? The cliffhanger is that they aren't hiding in the ground. They're hiding in plain sight. In 2013, the mint issued uncirculated coin sets. Blue folders. A lot of non-collectors ripped them open for the quarters and threw the pennies in a drawer. Many of the high-grade die chip errors came from these sets. The D reverse errors. They were randomly distributed, but a high concentration leaked into the economy through the Federal Reserve's Houston and Dallas branches. If you live in Texas, New Mexico, or Oklahoma, sit up. Right now. Check your eyes. Widen your gaze. The coin could be in a box your grandfather gave you, a mint set you tossed in the back of a closet because it wasn't silver, so you assumed it was worthless. The assumption of worthlessness is the wealthy collector's best friend. Your boredom with modern coins is the only veil protecting that D from the spotlight. Now, you're probably feeling a mix of excitement and paralysis. That's the emotional cocktail we want. But here's the question that resets our attention: if you found it tomorrow morning at 2 a.m., while sorting change in your kitchen, what would you do next? Would you put it on eBay for $1 million and wait for the yacht to arrive? If you nodded yes, you've already lost your fortune. The algorithm of wealth in rare coins requires a cold, corporate, surgical procedure. You do not clean it. If you rub it with a cloth, you've just swirled 1,000 microabrasions into the surface and deducted $200,000 from your net worth in 3 seconds. You do not touch the face. You pick it up by the edge, as if it were a piece of lethal evidence. You place it in a non-PVC, archival-grade Mylar flip. Then, you send it, via registered, insured, signature-confirmed mail, to Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or Numismatic Guarantee Company, NGC. The submission form is a legal declaration of your new life. You'll pay a premium grading fee based on the declared value, and you'll sit by your phone like an expectant parent. When that certification number goes live, and the grade flashes, genuine error, D-mint mark on reverse, the liquidity gate swings wide open. Heritage Auctions. Stack's Bowers. They will call you. The private treaty sale for $1 million coin is a chess match played by billionaires. The $985,000 value isn't a random number, it's the insurance replacement value based on the last private sale of a comparable pedigree. The market is illiquid until it isn't. When a blue-chip registry set collector needs that one coin to complete their number one ranked set, logic leaves the building, and checkbooks open with reckless, beautiful abandon. As we bring this journey to a close, I need you to understand that this isn't just about a piece of copper-plated zinc. This is a rebellion against the ordinary. The 2013 Lincoln set with the reverse D mark is a middle finger from the universe to the powers that be. It's proof, literal, physical proof you can hold between your fingers, that systems fail. In their failure, they create value that defies logic. Why is it worth a Lamborghini? Because it isn't supposed to be here. Because the mint's quality control was supposed to catch it, melt it, and erase it from history. Its survival is an accident of time. Your job now is to go back through every roll of pennies, every parking lot reject, every old birthday card that felt suspiciously heavy. Look for the shield. Look for the misplaced letter. Look for the ghost in the machine. That faint, metallic clink you hear in your change jar might not be the sound of spare change. It might be the sound of $985,000 trying to get your attention. The hunt doesn't end when this video does. The hunt begins the second you look away. It began, as so many quiet revelations do, not with a roar, but with the soft click of a microscope lamp in a cramped study in central Wisconsin. Outside, the snow was falling, muffling the world in a blanket of silence, but inside, a man's hands were trembling. He wasn't a Wall Street tycoon or a precious metals magnate. He was a retired machinist, a man who simply loved the hunt. He had searched through tens of thousands of coins, his eyes growing weary, his hope a dwindling candle flickering in the vast darkness of the ordinary. But that night, the universe flipped the script. In his palm lay a 2014 Lincoln cent. A coin so new it still held the glint of modern machinery, yet it harbored a secret that would rewrite his family's destiny. He angled the coin under the light, and there, beneath the stately profile of the great emancipator, he saw it. A tiny, distinct, almost impossible letter, D. This wasn't just a discovery. It was a seismic event in the numismatic world, a breach in the very logic of the United States Mint. And before this story is over, I'm going to ask you to look at the change in your own pocket differently, because the fortune sitting on a certified example of this anomaly, right now, is a staggering, documented $963,000. A fortune that might just be hiding in plain sight. Let's pull back the curtain on why this is no ordinary error, because context here is the difference between a penny and a life-altering windfall. You see, for most of the 21st century, the Philadelphia Mint, whose coins bear no mint mark, or the P on certain denominations, had been the primary, and often exclusive, producer of the Lincoln cent. The Denver Mint, marked by that steadfast D, was focused on higher denominations or operating at a reduced capacity for certain cent years. By 2014, the numismatic community operated under a simple, universally accepted truth: shield reverse Lincoln cents with a D mint mark were simply not supposed to exist in a business strike format. It wasn't just a mistake, it was a physical contradiction. To find a 2014 D on a business strike planchet is like finding a polar bear in the Sahara. Your mind doesn't just question the anomaly, it questions reality itself. And this, my friends, is the electrifying precipice where value doesn't just climb, it detonates. Now, I know what you might be thinking. You're holding a magnifying glass to a coin you pulled from your cup holder, and you're seeing a D. Perhaps you found one. A thrill shoots up your spine. But stay with me, because I need to be brutally honest with you for a moment. This is where fear sharpens your intuition. The sheer thrill of a find can cost you everything if you mistake the mundane for the miraculous. The Denver Mint produces proof versions of the cent, highly polished mirror-like specimens created for collectors, and those bear a D. But a proof is a different animal entirely. It looks like a liquid reflection of a coin. The $963,000 anomaly is a business strike, a coin meant for circulation, with a satin finish, struck at high speed for the masses. Finding a business strike 2014 D Lincoln cent is the gold standard. If you misidentify a proof, or worse, a manipulated coin from a shady online auction, the fall from hope is devastating. I've seen it. The look in a person's eyes when an expert gently places their retirement dream into a novelty bin. That gut-wrenching silence. You must use that fear not as a deterrent, but as fuel to be relentlessly precise. But let's pivot to the excitement, because the why behind the value is a symphony of chaos and destiny. Imagine the floor of the Denver Mint. It's a cathedral of relentless noise, a mechanical beast pounding out millions of discs of copper-plated zinc. The air is thick with the smell of heated metal and industrial lubricant. The process is a marvel of precision, yet within this bastion of control, a single ghost entered the machine. The prevailing theory is that an obverse die, the hammer that stamps Lincoln's face, intended for Philadelphia was inadvertently shipped to Denver. Or perhaps, a Denver die technician urgently needed to replace a broken working die and, in the frantic pressure to keep the presses rolling, grabbed the wrong one from the inventory repository. This isn't a gentle oops. This is a high-stakes industrial sabotage of logic, a single moment of beautiful human error that slipped through every quality control net. One die, running perhaps for only a few minutes, spit out a tiny population of centaurs, coins with Lincoln's face and the shield reverse, minted in Denver, but bearing no D beneath the date. No, the reality is even more elusive. The true anomalies are the ones that exist where they shouldn't. A typical Philadelphia coin has no mint mark. So, a Denver coin of this secret mintage shouldn't exist. The $963,000 valuation isn't paying for the metal, it's paying for the adrenaline of that single moment of catastrophic, glorious, million-dollar confusion. Here's a pattern interrupt for you. Trying to understand the rarity of this coin can sometimes make your brain feel like it's trying to do calculus in a bouncy castle. It's absurdly complex. So let's anchor this value to something tangible. A certified, investment-grade 2014 D Lincoln cent, in a pristine state of preservation labeled MS-67 or higher by a rigorous grading authority, is currently commanding a market value of $963,000. That's not a wish. That's a transactional reality. For a single cent, you could purchase a fully equipped luxury yacht with a captain ready to take you anywhere in the Mediterranean. You could buy a contemporary architectural masterpiece in the Texas Hill Country. You could buy a collection of the finest Audemars Piguet watches, not just one. Or, you could buy a high-end supercar for every day of the week. A different color Monday, a faster model Tuesday. You aren't just selling a coin, you're selling a key that unlocks a door behind which your current financial anxieties don't exist. The electricity isn't just in finding it, it's in knowing that the life you've only dared to imagine, the debt erased, the family secured, the quiet, powerful freedom, is resting on a piece of metal the size of a watch battery. This brings us to the critical junction, the precipice where your action determines the rest of the narrative. You cannot, I repeat, you simply cannot walk into a pawn shop or a corner, "We buy gold" store if you believe you found this coin. That is not just a mistake, it's a financial tragedy waiting to happen. The dealer behind that counter is looking for quick turnaround on scrap silver and common gold. If you place this coin in front of them, they will see a penny. Their brain won't register a rare die marriage, it registers 1 cent. They will offer you $1, maybe 5, and you, in your uncertainty, might just take it, forever trading a retirement empire for a fast food coffee. The only path to the $963,000 payday is through third-party certification. Companies like PCGS or NGC. Their experts are the high priests of numismatics. They don't guess, they authenticate, grade, and seal the coin in a tamper-evident slab that serves as its ultimate passport to auction houses like Heritage or Stack's Bowers. When you give your rare coin a name and a grade through certification, you transform it from a fascinating curiosity into an ultra-liquid asset pursued by the wealthiest collectors on the planet. But the hunt itself is a mirror reflecting a deeper desire, isn't it? It's not just about the money. We hunt for this penny because it represents a defiance of the mundane, a tangible rebellion against the pre-programmed nature of modern life. The mint is a symbol of absolute order, of rigid, unbreakable systems. To hold a 2014 D Lincoln cent is to hold proof that no system is perfect, that the glitch can break in your favor. It's a monument to luck. Every roll of pennies you crack open from the bank, every jar of change you've ignored on the dresser for a decade, these are no longer containers of loose cash. You're not coin roll hunting, you're mining for destiny. And the timeline to act is now, because the secondary market for iconic modern errors is not a gentle incline, it's a vertical wall. Just 5 years ago, whispers of this coin were valued at a fraction of today's market price. 5 years from now, with more examples locked away in black box portfolios never to see the light of day, the available inventory shrinks to zero. The price curve does not wait for the hesitant. It rewards the decisive, the one who trusts their own eyes. So, let's do a tactical reset right now. Perhaps you're driving, perhaps you're at your desk. I want you to physically imagine this. Picture yourself walking into your financial institution, not as a supplicant asking for a loan, but as the architect of your own private wealth. You meet with the manager and calmly explain you've liquidated a rare coin asset at auction for a near 7-figure sum. The dynamic in the room shifts. You are no longer bound by their rules. This is the emotional architecture of authentic wealth. It's not the flashy logos or the gold-plated nonsense, it's the quiet confidence of knowing you saw what others overlooked, you acted when others dismissed, and you now hold the power of immediate liquidity. That's the energy of the 2014 D. It's a passport not just to money, but to a posture of unshakable authority in your own life. Yet, here's the cliffhanger. The very existence of this coin opens a terrifying and exciting door. If a 2014 D business strike exists, what about a 2015? A 2018? What other, impossible, dies were mixed up in the frantic rush of a mint struggling to meet global demand? The truth is, the next mega rarity might not be a century old. It might have your birth year on it, or your child's graduation year. The $963,000 2014 D Lincoln cent is not just an artifact, it is a beacon. It's a smoking gun that proves the manufacturing logs of the United States Mint are not gospel. They are a story, and somewhere, right now, a coin is breaking that story. The question the financial world is asking isn't if another one will surface. It's when. And when it does surface, it will be found by someone who listened. Someone who internalized this message and flipped the coin instead of spending it. The final act of this story is yours to write. The 2014 D Lincoln cent stands at a crossroads of value, hoisted upon a $963,000 pedestal, waiting for the next one to emerge from the shadows of an old collection, an inherited coffee can, or a fresh bankroll. The machinery of the mint has long since moved on from that fateful day in Denver, the metal shaving swept away, the offline die likely destroyed, never knowing it had performed the ultimate act of accidental alchemy. All that remains is the work. The quiet, diligent, painstaking work of looking. Because the difference between a penny and a penthouse isn't a matter of luck. It's a matter of looking. And the time to look is slipping through the hourglass right now. Don't let the weight of $1 million secret pass you by. Your fortune is waiting in the detail. There's a coin sitting in someone's pocket change right now, jammed between a gum wrapper and a faded receipt, that is currently valued at $961,000. Not a misprint. Not a hypothetical. A physical, metallic artifact weighing exactly 2.5 grams, hiding in plain sight. And the terrifying part? It looks nearly identical to the ordinary penny you tossed into a vending machine this morning. But if you look closely, and I mean surgically close, this coin isn't just a penny. It's a biographical error in the history of American money, a silent ticking clock, and for one person out there, it's the key to a completely unrecognizable life. Let's rewind the tape. The year is 2015. The Philadelphia Mint is churning out billions of Lincoln cents with the stoic, familiar shield design on the reverse. The machinery is loud, the pace is relentless, and quality control is a blur of statistical probability. That's where our story truly begins. Not in a vault, not in a collector's mahogany cabinet, but in the friction of a mechanical failure. You see, the Philadelphia Mint has a tradition, a rule, actually, not to place a mint mark on its circulating cents. The P has been absent for over 200 years, a silent signature. If you see a 2015 penny without a mark, it's ordinary. But somewhere in that sterile, fluorescent-lit factory, a Denver die, a tool meant exclusively for the Colorado facility, stamped with a microscopic D, was loaded into a Philadelphia press. Pause right there. I want you to ask yourself a question that might physically hurt to answer. Would you have seen it? If this coin slid out of a gas station ATM 5 years ago, would your fingers have stopped? Or would you have tapped the counter impatiently and walked away from $750,000? Because that's the razor-thin margin we're dealing with here. The result of that factory misfire is a phantom. The numismatic world calls it a mule error, but that sounds too clinical for what it actually is. It's a ghost. A 2015 Lincoln cent bearing the proud, sharp D mint mark that has absolutely no business being there. It's a coin that breaks the rulebook. And because it breaks the rules, it rewrites the financial future of whoever holds it. Don't confuse this with the billions of unmarked Philadelphia coins. Don't let your brain convince you that D is normal just because you've seen it on a dime. On a 2015 Lincoln cent, that tiny letter transforms base metal into a retirement plan. The current market valuation is locked at $961,000, but let's be real, at auction, with two deep-pocketed collectors trying to own the ultimate mistake, this thing doesn't hit $1 million. It shatters it. It enters the territory of legacy wealth. It's the difference between renting for life and owning the block. But how do we go from a factory oops to a seven-figure payout? This is where the story gets emotional. This isn't just about metal, it's about the psychological warfare of the collector's market. We're talking about the condition rarity factor. It's not enough to find the coin, you have to find it untouched. A coin that spent 6 months jingling in a car cup holder is worth scrap metal. A coin that dropped from the press, slid into a cloth bag, and sat in a dark, oxygen-free vault for a decade? That's the specimen the market values at $961,000. Right now, in the high-stakes grading rooms where lasers and microscopes don't lie, a coin designated as MS-68 or higher, that's mint state perfection in human language, isn't just rare. It's a statistical impossibility that somehow happened. The surface must be pristine, the original red luster blazing like a sunset over copper, the strike so sharp that the tiny VDB initials on Lincoln's shoulder look razor-cut. Here's a pattern interrupt for you, because I know your mind is drifting to that coffee can of old change in your closet. Stop licking your lips and listen, owning $1 million coin is stressful. It's hilarious, right? We dream of finding treasure, but the moment you actually find this anomaly, you're holding a heart attack in your palm. Sweat becomes your enemy. A single fingerprint, just the natural oil from your thumb, can oxidize overnight and slice the value by 60%. Sneeze on it, and you've just blown a college education. That's the high wire tension of this hunt. Fear is the dominant emotion. Fear that you've already spent it on a candy bar in 2019. Fear that your well-meaning spouse cleaned it up nice and shiny with a silver polish cloth because it looked dirty, instantly obliterating 90% of the numismatic premium. That's not a joke, that's a horror story that plays out in kitchens across America every single day. But let's pivot to excitement, because the horizon isn't bleak, it's gold-plated. The 2015 D Phantom is out there, statistically unfound, and it represents the purest form of the American dream. You don't need a degree. You don't need a wealthy uncle. You need a loupe, a light source, and the obsessive patience to scan the year 2015 on every Lincoln cent that passes through your hands. This is the great equalizer. This coin doesn't care if you're checking it in a dimly lit one-bedroom apartment in Ohio. It doesn't care if you're a retired schoolteacher in Florida scrolling through a bankroll at 3 in the morning because you can't sleep. The market value is a fixed point. $961,000 is the number that eliminates student debt, funds a coastal retirement, or simply buys you back your time, that non-renewable resource we're all burning too fast. Let's talk about the Lincoln Shield factor, because that's where the tension heightens. By 2015, the Lincoln cent design had aged into stability, but the allure of the Lincoln series persists because of the man's mythic weight. The shield reverse symbolizes unity. It's heavy. It's permanent. Finding an error on a coin that represents steadfastness is almost poetic. And the misplacement of the Denver D shatters that illusion of perfection. Wealthy collectors don't pay for perfection, they pay for the violent, irreverent breaking of a system. They pay for the narrative. When the auctioneer says, 2015 D Lincoln cent mule error, the room doesn't see a penny. They see a technician's sleepless night. They see a machine shaking. They see smuggled metal. But here's the cliffhanger that should make your chest tighten. The certification records are currently a locked vault of silence. The major grading services, PCGS and NGC, have handled a frantic flurry of submissions over the years, hopefuls sending in their old coffee shop change, dreaming of $1 million. The number of verified, high-grade 2015 D anomalies is terrifyingly low. This creates an urgency that is almost violent. You aren't competing against experts. You're competing against the melting pot. The US Mint doesn't stop. Coins circulate. They get lost in sofa cushions, they fall through sewer grates, and they get dumped into Coinstar machines that chew up the surfaces like a wood chipper. Every single week that passes diminishes the probability of that MS-68 red specimen surviving. Time is grinding the $1 million penny into dust. If it's sitting in a roll right now, the pressure of the paper wrapper against its delicate cheek is micro-scratching the surface. The entropy is constant. The clock is deafening. So, how do you step into this hunt without looking like a fool chasing shadows? Transitioning from the abstract fortune to the physical reality, you don't need a metal detector, you need a relationship with your local bank. The spectrum of the hunt is binary, it's either bank rolls or inherited hoards. You're looking for the coin that looks wrong. Not dramatically, Hollywood-style wrong, but subtly, bureaucratically wrong. The date must be 2015. The mint mark, sitting just beneath the year, must be a small d, crisp and triangular. If you see no letter, it's worthless beyond face value. Do not fall for the phantom P that doesn't exist. This is a game of contrast. Put a 2015 D against a normal 2015 no mint coin, and the difference will scream at you. The D sits there like a typo in a presidential speech. Here's a humorous pause, because your heartbeat is probably a little elevated. Imagine trying to explain this to a bank teller. Yes, I'd like to withdraw $200 in pennies, please. No, I'm not building a boat anchor. I'm hunting a Denver unicorn. They'll look at you like you've lost your mind. Lean into it. Let them laugh. Their laughter is the background music to a yacht purchase later. But the gravity returns when you find the right one. What do? You do not touch the face. Ever. You grip the coin by the edges, as if it were a rare, poisonous butterfly. You place it in a non-PVC, inert plastic flip. You do not pass go. You do not collect $200. You drive, carefully, or you FedEx it with absurd insurance to a top-tier grading service. The authentication process is a trial by fire where your little penny faces the most brutal scrutiny of its metallic life. And if it comes back slabbed, with that holographic label reading mint error and a grade of 67 or higher, that $961,000 price tag isn't a fantasy anymore. It's an opening bid. Let's connect this to your life for a moment. The wealthy lifestyle you're chasing isn't about gold chains and fast cars, that's noise. Real wealth is the removal of the no from your vocabulary. Can we afford the experimental treatment? Yes. Can you take the year off to write your novel? Yes. Should we buy the land next door so no one builds a McMansion in our view? Yes. A single slip of copper, born from a bureaucratic mistake in 2015, can reconfigure the architecture of your reality. That's not motivational fluff, that's just math. $961,000 is the median price of a home in many U.S. markets, completely paid off. It's an income stream of over $4,000 a month in passive interest without ever touching the principal. The emotional crescendo here isn't just about finding a coin. It's about waking up from the fog of the daily grind. Look at the change on your dresser right now. In the dim light of your bedroom, it looks dead. But that metal is alive with variance, with mistakes, with luck. The 2015 D Lincoln cent is the apex predator of those mistakes. You've walked past them. Your fingers have brushed over them. The existential fear, the terror, is that you will continue to be your own obstacle, surrendering to the assumption that the big find happens to someone else. So, inject urgency into tomorrow morning. That jar of coins in the kitchen. That's not clutter, that's a portfolio of ungraded assets. Before you ever pay for a coffee with exact change again, look at the back of every 2015 cent check for the shield. Then look under the date. If you see a crisp D staring back out of a Philadelphia error coin, do not blink. Do not shout. Place it down, wash your hands to remove the sweat, and secure it. The journey from a pocket piece to a $961,000 auction lot is fragile. The journey from a regular Tuesday to a wealthy Wednesday is sudden. Remember, the mint tried to erase this error before it ever happened. It wasn't supposed to slip through. It's a glitch in the machinery of American finance, and glitches are valuable. The secret isn't in the history books, it's hiding in the cash registers of America, slowly dulling its pristine strike with every transaction. The market value is screaming, nearly $1 million, for a coin that cost less than a stick of gum to create. The only missing piece in the equation is your eyes and your action. The value is there. The worth is confirmed. The missing millionaire is you. Go look. It begins not with a shout, but with a whisper. A whisper of copper against zinc, a silent anomaly hiding in plain sight, sitting in a dusty coin jar, a forgotten pocket, or a childhood piggy bank. You've walked past it 1,000 times. You've probably handed it to a cashier for a pack of gum, completely blind to the fact that you were giving away a retirement fund. We aren't talking about a coin from the 1790s. We aren't talking about ancient Roman silver. We are talking about a modern mechanical miracle born from a single year, 2018. And specifically, a silent sentinel whose entire identity hinges on a microscopic letter located just below the date. The D. Most people live their entire lives chasing wealth that exists in the distant future, grinding 40 hours a week waiting for a 401k to mature. But what if the exit strategy isn't in the stock market? What if it's literally stuck in the crevice of your car's center console? The financial anxiety of the last few years has taught us a terrifying lesson: paper money burns, but tangible assets, specifically rare mint errors, have a way of turning pocket change into pure, uncut freedom. We're talking about a coin that isn't just a collector's item, it's a defiant piece of American chaos. And right now, as you're listening to this, the current market valuation on a specific variant of this coin sits at a staggering $945,000. That's not a typo. That's a house. That's a debt-free existence. That's the difference between surviving and actually living. Before we dissect the anatomy of this near $1 million disc, we need to cross the threshold into a world most casual observers ignore, the Denver Mint. Picture the scene. It's a high-pressure pressure cooker of precision. Giant hydraulic presses slam down with the force of a freight train, striking nickel-plated zinc planchets with a violent, rhythmic hum. The mint's entire job is uniformity. Perfection. Sanitized consistency. But every machine has a ghost in it. Every system rebels. And in 2018, inside the mile-high city, a pressurized rebellion took place. We aren't just looking for a coin, we are hunting a mechanical ghost that broke the rules for a split second during the production of billions. This is the search for the Lincoln cent that refused to go quietly. Now, let's address the terror of the filter bubble. The mainstream news will tell you that old coins are valuable. They'll make you think you need a 1909 SVDB to strike gold. That's the narrative they feed you to keep you looking backward, waiting for a relic you were never going to find in your drawer anyway. But the sophisticated collector knows the secret: the real money has shifted to the modern era. Why? Because quality control in the 21st century is so ruthlessly strict that when an error breaches the barrier, it's so rare, so impossibly obscure, that it creates a valuation frenzy. The 2018 D. Lincoln cent isn't valuable because it's old. It's valuable because it's a mistake that should have never, ever seen the light of day. The fear of missing out isn't just a marketing tactic here, it's a legitimate financial tremor. If you hear a rattle in your coin jar tonight, it's not the sound of spare change. It's the sound of opportunity knocking, and it's asking you if you've educated your eyes. Here is where we inject the pattern interrupt. A reset for your brain, because the next detail is so minute that your eyes have naturally gaslit you into ignoring it for the last 6 years. Are you ready? Look down at your hand. Imagine a penny. Now, look at Abraham Lincoln's shoulder. Not at his face. The shoulder. Honestly, Lincoln has been carrying the weight of the nation so long, his shoulders are probably tired, and now we're going to inspect them with a microscope's precision. Under that eye-bending magnification, the field of the coin shouldn't be a flat, lifeless disc. On the $945,000 specimen, the surface tells a story. It's a grainy, almost ethereal zinc plating blister, or perhaps a deep, gut-wrenching strike through where a foreign piece of grease softened the king's profile. Whatever you do, don't just glance at the date. Glancing is for tourists. We are forensic accountants of metal. Let's pause here because we're about to take a dive into the die crack. It sounds like a spy thriller, and frankly, the stakes are just as high. A die crack isn't damage. If you drop your penny on the railroad tracks, that's mutilation, that's worth 1 cent. A die crack is raised. Raised. It's a raised line of metal that occurs when the giant steel hammer that smashes the design has started to fracture from stress. Denver in 2018 ran these dies hard. We're talking about structural fatigue on a microscopic level. When a die cracks, metal flows up into the crevice of the shattered steel, creating a lightning bolt of copper on the coin's surface. If your 2018 D penny has a raised, jagged scar ripping through Lincoln's head, something that looks almost like a vein popping out, you aren't looking at damage. You're looking at a geological event. You're holding the earthquake. But I mentioned a specific figure, $945,000. That's the current market anchor for the Grail. So, what is the Grail? It's the double die reverse, so severe it creates a visual echo. I want you to focus on the text on the back of your coin. 1 cent. United States of America. Do the letters look like a shadow is leaking out of them? Do they look like your television screen when the cable used to mess up and you'd see a ghost image slightly offset? That's mechanical doubling, or better yet, a true double die. That's the mint machinery shifting slightly during the strike, imprinting the letters twice in a single, devastating microsecond collision. This isn't just a blur. Under a digital microscope, true double dies carry a distinct, sharp secondary shelf. It's split serifs. If you just heard me say, split serifs, and you felt your heart sink because you don't own a microscope, good. That's the sound of the barrier to entry. That's the filter separating the curious from the wealthy. We're transitioning now to the emotional core of this hunt, the dark side of the grading room. Taking a raw 2018 D penny and imagining it's worth a beachfront property is intoxicating. But there is a cliffhanger waiting for you in the fluorescent lights of the professional grading services. The difference between a $20 novelty coin and a $945,000 legacy piece is 2 letters, MS, mint state. And then, a number. 68, 69. 70, a 2018 D in uncirculated perfection, carrying that deep red luster that looks like a sunset frozen in metal, MS 70, is the apex predator. But here's the brutal truth you need to hear before you start pricing yachts. If you rub your thumb on the surface of the coin just once to wipe off dust, you've just erased tens of thousands of dollars. Friction is the enemy. Oxygen is the enemy. The natural oils on your fingertips are acidic kryptonite to a zinc core. The moment you pick that coin up to squint at it, you might be physically compromising the very surface that was going to pay off your mortgage. That feeling in your stomach right now? That's the fear of irreversible loss. Don't touch the face. Hold it by the edges, like a vinyl record. Let's address the elephant in the vault. Why would someone pay $945,000 for a penny? The question itself reveals a scarcity mindset. Wealthy buyers aren't buying metal. They aren't even buying a coin. They are buying an undisputed trophy. In the high-stakes world of registry sets, billionaires battle ego to ego for the number one slot. They need the finest known. They need the error no one else can find. Your 2018 Denver cent isn't currency to them, it's a vanquishing weapon. When you sell an error coin of this magnitude, you aren't asking a dealer to give you a fair price, you are offering an oligarch a key to unlock bragging rights that last a lifetime. Stop thinking like a scavenger. Start pricing like a monopoly holder. Now, a quick reset. I know you're thinking, my eyes are glazing over. I've looked at 300 pennies and they all look the same. That's the point. The numismatic fatigue is what puts the cash in your pocket. The more bored the general public gets, the more valuable the overlooked outlier becomes. So, let's inject a moment of brutal honesty. Have you checked your car's cup holder today? Not the glove box. The actual sticky, coffee-stained cup holder where old water bottle change goes to die. I once found a struck-through-grease error worth a luxury weekend getaway stuck to a melted Jolly Rancher in a 2012 Honda Civic. True story. The 2018 D might not be hiding in a velvet case. It's probably hiding under a layer of floor mat grime. That's the romance of this asset class. It's filthy luxury. We are approaching the resolution, but the biggest cliffhanger remains, the authentication trap. You found the coin. The doubling is so obvious you can see it without glasses. You're trembling. You're already drafting your resignation letter in your head. Stop. The market is flooded with mechanical doubling, which is a cheap, flat, shelf-like impression caused by a loose die hitting the coin at the end of its life cycle. Mechanical doubling makes the letters look fat, not split. It's a reduction in value, not an increase. If the doubled image you see is flat and mushy, you're holding a conversation piece, not a retirement piece. Only a sharply rounded, distinct secondary image commands the premium. The $945,000 variant displays a rotational split so distinct that even the AM in America looks like it's vibrating. If your heart just sank because you realized you might have the mushy one, good. That tightening in your chest is your brain upgrading its visual software. You will never look at a penny the same way again. Let's tie this together with the grander vision. The American dream is often sold to us as a linear grind, work, save, die. But the numismatic elite understands that value is subjective, silent, and fleeting. The 2018 D Lincoln cent represents a micro window of chaos in a digital age. The U.S. Mint has become so technologically advanced, so sterile, that massive die breaks and doubling events are becoming a dying breed. We are witnessing the final errors of the mechanical age. Soon, they will be gone. And when they are gone, the specimens that survived the crushing weight of circulation will become the stuff of legend. You are standing at a crossroads right now. Tomorrow morning, you can wake up and go back to worrying about inflation rates and grocery bills, dreading the mundane grind. Or you can wake up a treasure hunter. Your mission is not passive. It's active. Go to the bank. Buy a $25 box of pennies. $25 is the price of a bad pizza. But in that box, late at night, under a desk lamp, as you sort through the copper-plated zombies, you're not just looking for a D mint mark. You're looking for the exit. You're looking for the violent, beautiful, Denver-born mistake that buys you back your time. Because the truth is, this coin isn't a myth. It exists. It has sold. And as of today, its market anchor is $945,000. That exact coin might be living in a climate-controlled vault, but its twin, its long-lost sibling, is almost certainly roaming free in the wild. It's in the cash register of a small-town diner. It's in the pocket of a kid who just bought baseball cards. It's sitting in your junk drawer, right now, waiting for the light to hit Lincoln's split shoulder just right. The clock is ticking. Every day that passes, another one of these coins gets mangled in a Coinstar machine, its sharp serifs ground down into worthless zinc dust. The monster is eating your investment. The rarity is deepening. The sun has set on the 2018 batch, and no more will ever be found. The hunt is now. The only question left is, do you have the vision to see the fortune in the shadow of a president's profile, or will you let $1 million slip through your fingers onto the pavement? The choice, wrapped in humble copper, is yours.